Hi guys, welcome back. This is part 2 of our bark series. We are working with clay and also with paper towel. This video is just to show you how I add on to my pieces after they're already made and dried and sometimes even painted. Like this one here was already painted and I decided I wanted to add a knot hole and I wanted to add a little bit of a feature in the front here. And then my clay stump I added a lot more. I put a knot hole and changed the front completely and added some root work in the back. And that was after it was already done and dried. That's what I love about working with these materials. You can change your mind as many times as you want to, and all that's going to happen is going to add to the charm of the finished piece. Alright, so let's get started. If you wanted to add any extra things to this stump, you can certainly do that. This thing can be baked over and over and over again, and I actually want to add something here. Now with this kind of clay, if you want to add like a little bit of a lip sticking out or a little bit of an edge up top, you have to have tin foil as a base or wire as a base. Otherwise you're risking it breaking. If you don't have anything to hold it up underneath, then that clay could break off. So I'm going to add a little piece right here because I just want to have a little bit of a lip coming off the front there. So I'm just going to hot glue it in place, and of course it's going to go in the oven, so the hot glue is definitely going to melt, but it's not a problem because I'm going to be adding the material over top. So the hot glue is just going to hold it in place for me while I get it permanently attached here. On my tree, I did this a lot after the bark was dry. I added little things. See, all of this could have been planned out before, but I didn't really see it in my mind until after the thing came out of the oven. And then I was like, oh, it should have this here, and then I was thinking of another little thing as well. So there we go. I think I'm happy with that. It's hard to stop once you get started adding details. And this project wasn't supposed to go in this direction. I was just supposed to be showing how I do bark, but I can't help myself. I see this happening in my mind and then I have to kind of go with it. So, alright, so the next step I'm going to do, I'm going to cover all of the tin foil with masking tape. Now I have my tin foil, my masking tape, and now I'm going to add my tissue paper. This is all the exact same steps I'm repeating that we started off with. Okay, ready for more clay, and I'm going to do it the same way I showed you in part 1. Alright, popping in with an edit. When I put my new clay on top of the old clay, I made sure to overlap that seam of new materials about an inch. So there was my tin foil, my masking tape, and my tissue paper, and then the clay went over about an inch, overlapping that seam. So they become one solid piece, and there's no risk of it ever separating. And then you just work your lines over all of that, the same exact way you did it the first time. And I want to show you one more thing. This knot hole I did with tin foil, but you can actually do it without tin foil. Actually, this knot hole here, there's no tin foil base underneath that. I just kind of squished it all around with my finger, so I just put a blob of clay on there and just squished it around with my finger. And it just gave this uneven edge and kind of a wrinkly edge. And some of the areas I helped shape it as well, like I kind of pinched them. But there's no tin foil under this one. And just like this one here, there's no tin foil built up underneath that. This was actually built up over, I think there was 3 different occasions that I worked on this piece here. And I knew what I wanted in my mind's eye, and while I was working on the tree, I did a layer of clay, made the shape that I wanted, and then I let it dry, and then I did another layer of clay over top that, and then another over top that. Yeah, so you can really work with that clay, and you can add all sorts of different shapes and knot holes. It's really fun once you get started. And Google knotty trees and you'll have fun choosing the knots that you want to add to your tree. So in my paper towel bark trunk, I decided to go ahead and add a few more details. I added a knot hole here, and some of the bark lines were bothering me right here. They were too squiggly. I left a few here for you to see. I didn't like that look, so I just added some paper towel dipped in glue straight over top the bark underneath, so I didn't use any tin foil or masking tape or anything. I could have done the exact same thing I did on the other one, but I decided just to do straight paper towel. So you can see I added a number of knot holes there, and I just did that with plain paper towel. I didn't add any tin foil or anything. And I wanted to pop in with this edit because I didn't mention when I put that new paper towel over top, the wet paper towel over top, I made sure to really work in the edges with my fingers. So I just really squished it into the original bark. That way there's no risk of it coming off before it's completely dry. Once the glue is dry and everything, there's no issues of it ever pulling away. But while it's wet, you want to make sure that you work it all into the old bark. So your new bark and your old bark become one solid piece. Alright, we're going to end the video here and we're going to head over to part 3 where we're going to start painting our trunks.